Welcome to the demo of India Payroll. In this demo, we will cover the following. We'll give you a brief overview of the payroll, which is from an employee's perspective. We'll discuss in detail the way the compensation structure is designed, looking at the salary slip. We will talk about the various type of declarations you can do as an employee. As you can see, there are multiple type of declarations: previous employee, tax savings, other income, house property, VPF, house rent, flexible benefits, national pension scheme, perquisite value, and nomination forms. We'll cover all the declarations through other demos. We'll show you how to claim salary reimbursements, how to claim an LTA, and we'll talk about the report section. Let's start the payroll overview by discussing the salary structure. This is a sample salary structure which you can see in the system. As you can see, there are multiple heads. A head is mapped based on the category. So there is a category of monthly taxable, which means that the payment is done on a monthly basis and it is a taxable amount. Similarly, there will be monthly tax free. For example, HRA. We can have annual taxable and annual tax-free heads. Reimbursement heads are a separate category if you are having some components of your salary which are paid to you as reimbursements like fuel reimbursement, generals and periodicals, which are supported by actual claims, actual invoices. Some companies will have CTC heads like gratuity and PF, employees contribution added in the salary. And you might also have a component which is a non-cash component like a Sodexo or a food coupon, which is under the category of monthly tax-free benefits. So these are the various types of heads you will have in the salary structure. Each head would be calculated either on the basis of a percentage of CTC. So as you can see, basic is a percentage of CTC, or it can be a fixed amount which is paid to you on a monthly or annual basis, or it can be a variable amount like the retention bonus is shown here, or it can be auto, which means it is not calculated manually, it is calculated automatically based on the other heads. So the gratuity and the employee welfare are shown as auto heads. The total CTC in this case is 9.3 lakhs. So this is a sample salary structure. The second part is the deductions. There are multiple types of deductions you will have in payroll. The most important one is tax deducted at source. TDS is calculated based on your taxable income and also will depend upon whether you're a part of the old regime or new regime. If your company is participating in PF, and if you're participating in PF, you will have a PF employee contribution. You can also have voluntary provident fund deduction. If you are in a state where there is a professional tax applied, then there will be a PT deduction. If your salary is below a certain threshold, you'll be a part of the employee state insurance scheme, so you will have ESIC deduction. Some states might have labor welfare fund component, which will be deducted from your salary. In case you're having days on which you're absent and you do not have any leave or tour, you will be having a leave without pay deduction, a loss of pay in the salary. There are some other deductions which are done from your salary or might be given to you at the end of your tenure, either when you are leaving the company or when you're retiring. One of the examples is gratuity, which is payable after you finish 4 years and 6 months in the company. Similarly, you will have PF, which is going to be deposited with the government, and you can take it when you're retiring. Some companies might also have a policy of giving you leave encashment, in which case leave encashment can also be given as retire leaves, which can be tax free. You will have a tax calculation sheet be made available to you at the end of every month's payroll. The earnings you have will be clubbed under salary under section 17(1). As you can see here, various heads which you saw in the salary structure are combined here and your earnings are getting calculated. If there are certain components which are falling under perquisites, they'll be under different section, but they get added to the overall salary. So the salary in this case is about 13,94,000 rupees. If you are having HRA in your salary, and if you're paying rent, then you will have an HRA exemption calculation, which is shown here. It is a function of how much rent you have paid, what is your HRA which you have received, what is your basic salary. In this case, the complete HRA is exempt and there is no taxable HRA. If you have made some tax declarations, you will be able to see the declared amount and based on your verifications, the deductible amount. In some cases, you might have declared some amount, but if you're not provided with supporting documents, your deductible amount might be zero. There are some standard deductions like under section 10. So you can see here there's an HRA deduction which is coming from this calculation here. If you are participating under some reimbursement schemes, you will have exemption to section 17(2) are shown separately. There is a standard deduction of 50,000 rupees, which might change over time, which is shown here separately. And reimbursements, which are a part of your salary, are shown as in a separate category. If you have claimed the reimbursement, then the exempted amount will be also shown. Based on all these calculations and the exemptions, your tax calculation is shown to you. The tax calculation shows you very clearly what is your total taxable income, what is the total tax which gets rounded up based on certain rules. What is the surcharge on the tax? What is the cess on the tax? And what is the total tax liability? So you can see what is the tax which you have and how much tax you've been paid so far. So 94,060 is the total tax. 68,790 has been paid by you. Whatever remaining months are there, the remaining tax is divided upon the remaining months, and you have a pro rata tax which is about 4,212 rupees. Let us now look at how do we navigate in the payroll module. You need to click on the payroll menu. The page has two levels. At the first level, you can see there are four tabs: compensation, declarations, claims, downloads. Within each tab, there are sub tabs. Let's first talk about the compensation page. On the first tab, you can download your salary slips, and you can also download your tax calculation. In the second tab, you can review your compensation summary, which is your salary structure, plus also details of how much amount you have received in each head in the year so far, what is going to be your estimated annual payout, also any CTC components and deductions which you have, plus if there are any carry forward from the previous financial year. In the third tab, you can do your tax planning. There are other videos in which this is covered in detail. In the fourth tab, you can see a history of your salary increments. There is the amount, there is the from date and the to date, which is the period for which this salary was applicable, the month in which it was processed. So the last salary increment was processed in July 2024, where the salary was increased from 14,70,000 to 16,50,000. In the final tab, you have loans, where you can request a new loan and you can see a summary of your loan status. In the second page, we have declarations. There are multiple types of declarations. Depending upon whether you're a new regime or old regime, you might not be able to see some of the tabs. The first tab is tax saving. The second tab is other income, where you can declare your other income. The third tab is house property. Here you can declare your house property details. The fourth tab is where you can declare a voluntary provident fund. In the fifth tab, you can declare your house rent details. Each of these are covered in detail in other videos. In the sixth tab, you have a flexi benefit declaration. This is applicable for employees whose salary is above a certain range. In the next tab, you have national pension scheme. If your company is participating in national pension scheme, you can update your employee contribution here. Plus, you can also see if there is any employer contribution. In the next tab, you have a perquisite value declaration. This is required for employees whose perquisite value is crossing a certain threshold. In the next tab, you have the children declaration, which is required for education allowance and hostel allowance. And in the last tab, you have the option to generate your declaration and nomination forms. Form 12BB, gratuity nomination form, PF declaration form, and the PF nomination. In the third page, you have the option to submit your claims. If your salary has a certain component which is mapped as reimbursement, you can take your claims here. From the final tab, you can manage your downloads. From here, you can download your bonus letter, Form 16, tax calculation, loan details, payroll claim details, year-end tax statement for the previous financial year. This is an overview of the navigation of payroll within the easework application.